Alright, all you graveyard shift bracers out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's Stunts of the Week goes to none other than A. Rogers 8986 with his stunt GTA Epic Movie, and also goes to Mucha 86 with his stunt Moto Madness. Now, the reason why these two stunts made it in, well, the first one is because during that said stunt they sent in, the guy panicked to the point where he forgot where the button was to press to activate the water part for the makeshift car and almost crashed it into the ocean. So the fact that he survived, thumbs up. And the reason why we picked the other stunt, well, because unfortunately after that stunt, Dave got paralyzed due to what happened to him with the ATV. So here's hoping this little bit of notoriety will help him pay the hospital bills. But besides Dave's hospital bills and a whole bunch of cool stunts, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines and see who was the best of the best one more time before the Indie Awards for another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator, Lucusta95, nice name by the way, with their said track, LC95 Zancudo Track. And the reason why in the world we picked this track for the track of the week, not only because he was able to turn the swamp near Fort Secundo into a makeshift racetrack, but also was able to include off-road sports and supercars to go along with it as well. And the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there is to make sure you pick a car with great handling and be careful of the walls. Because if you go too fast on a straightaway and knock into one of those walls like your opponent might do, let's just say you might be going to Red Lobster or Outback Steakhouse eating a T-bone steak flying over the wall, which will cost you during this very race. And the next track that we have up comes from none other than Wig Splitter with his said track, Hot Ring Daytona 500. And just like all of his replica racetracks, this one was a spot-on impersonation of the classic Daytona 500 track. And the best part about it all, folks, you get a chance to use the hot ring cars to test out this said track to have your own cool Daytona 500 experience, with the only exception that you can only do this with 99 laps. And the only tip of advice that we have for you fans out there is if your car gets messed up, and luckily for you, there is a pit lane you can use to repair your car, is to be careful during the bank turns of this said map, because if you crash once, it will cost you and will make it very difficult for you to recover back into this race. So take your turns with care. And the next track that we have up, which comes from the creator 2Rara461 with their said track, Icicle Work. And this track, I got a feeling it's probably one of the most dangerous tracks we were able to mention for this month outside the tracks that would have rockets. And the reason why we say that, folks, is not only it's an elevation track that requires you to race on a path with no barricades, but also, yeah, let's just say if you don't pick the right car for this track, you will slip off and fall all the way to the city streets below. So yeah, high risk but high reward for this said track. And the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there is, well, make sure you pick a car fast enough to make your way up all these hills, ridges, and jumps that are featured during this very dangerous, high-risk, high-wire act of a track. Oh yeah, and also, have fun! And the next track that we have up of High Risk, High Reward comes from the creator, Mr. Rickster66, nice name by the way, with his said track, Hot Ring Stunts Raceway. And this track, the reason why we like this track so much for this week, because not only it gives you the option of using hot ring cars, but also compact cycles, muscles, off-road, super, and even utility to race on this said track. And the only tip of advice we have for you fans out there, seeing the fact that there is a couple of high-octane jumps that you do have to do during this said track, is to pick a car that can accomplish these said jumps. And also, beware of your opponent in the skies and on the ground. Because if you don't, there's a high possibility they can knock you off this track, which will cost you during this race. And if you want a prime example, just imagine you just racing along, minding your business, and all of a sudden, let's just say a hot ring race car just lands on the top of your hood. Yeah, that'll definitely cost you during this race. And the last but not least track that we have up for this week comes from the creator, Ep.245, with this said track, Face to Face Maze Bay. Now, unlike the previous face-to-face tracks we mentioned on this show before, folks, this one does require you to do a jump through a hoop of fire in the center of the Maze Bank Tower. So, yeah, and also, it's a transformation race too. And the vehicles you have to transform into, from not only a Vagrant, also a Blazer, a fire truck, and even a ramp buggy and a Batty 801. Yeah, there's a lot of vehicles and a lot of chances for mid-air collisions, so be careful and don't get lapped during this said race. Because if you do, and you have to end up in a mid-air collision sort of situation, there's a high possibility that you may not cost you, but others a chance to win this race. You know, if that's a thing you're into, if you're in last place and want to cause a little bit of mischief, then go ahead. But if you're trying to avoid it, yeah, be careful. And I guess with that said, for this week, folks, wraps it up for another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And if you guys and gals out there want to play any of these tracks that we mentioned for this week, plus other cool and even crazier tracks we were able to find online, you can head on over to the socialclub.rockstar game page and look up the playlist entitled Lincoln Jump to try a couple of these tracks out for yourselves. And as a little bit of a heads up, these track playlists we have will only be up for 2 weeks at a time until we're able to clear out the other old playlists that we still have up on the playbill. And this playlist for this week, folks, can win you anywhere from upwards of $100 to almost $250,000 of cold hard cash. So good luck out there, race fans, while going through this said track playlist created by yours truly. And I guess with that said, folks, we might as well head back into the music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Under the Radar for this week, right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned.